You're live. Welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I am Nerder Doug, and tonight I am hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdoctus Ted, how are you doing this fine and lovely Monday evening?
I'm doing pretty awesome. I had a terrific day, and tonight we are talking about anniversaries, and I would like to congratulate you and Nerdarchy on an anniversary, which is what prompted this topic, and that
Yeah, we've
is.
we've been around for quite a bit at this point in time. So yeah,
But it's actually the newsletter. This last week was 3 years straight of doing that every week. So I thought that was pretty impressive. I noticed that doing the numbering because I took over doing, putting the newsletter out a couple of weeks ago.
and we are incredibly thankful to have you doing that. We've we've changed up the format a little bit here and there. I love the way we're doing it now. So for those of you who are out there listening, if you aren't signed up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, highly recommend you do so. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. What? So whose idea? Like that you started doing that like pretty almost immediately, right? And you guys would just trade off who was like writing it and putting it out that
Yeah,
each
we
week.
we would take turns, and very frequently it would get missed or forgotten. We weren't properly tracking it with a Google Calendar or a schedule in any way, shape, form to be like, hey, it's this person's week or that person's week. When we lost Ryan, we had lost Nate, and it got to be a bit of an issue. And once we had you on board, there were you know different ideas that floated, and eventually, and I don't you probably know better than I do, when we switched over to the format that all of us write a portion on the same topic every week, and I think that is definitely our putting our best foot forward.
Oh, that was when we started like really tightening things up with the newsletter, yeah, and the live chat is when we started doing this. Because for a while we were doing two, because this is normally, in case anybody doesn't know, Mondays lately has been our Patreon only live chat, where we just hang out and pick a topic, and we usually just meander and talk about whatever. But with the current health situation in the world and self quarantining and everything, we figured why not just open it up to the public along with revivifying the live chat each weekday from noon till 1 Eastern with just like industry pros and other nerds. So yeah, we figured we'd just make this public for a while and hang out. And like I said, we usually pick a topic, but if this is your first time here, it is highly likely that we will divert from that topic many times. And if you have any questions, just put question or tag Nerdarchy in the chat so we can spot it.
We also accept GM 911 if you want to throw that in front.
That's right.
Um, I got a comment in the chat saying that I'm a little quiet, so I'm going to adjust my mic real quick.
Okay, yeah, I saw that earlier, and I was messing with the settings too. Also, yes, disclaimer: I am a tech. I think I have the mutant power to disrupt technology when I'm nearby. So if there's any technical difficulties, I'll do my best to adjust them on the fly. But I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, putting the tracks down right in front of the train, just like my GM style.
I don't know if it's a bit of the even though I haven't played in a long time, seeing Goblin Historian quoting or saying the comment "squee," that to me just screams way too much Magic the Gathering to me.
Oh yeah,
I was
I've been playing that a lot lately, Magic Arena, which is I know you don't want to be tempted to get back into it, but you can play it much like D&D. You can play totally for free for ad nauseum. I mean, with because you can just by playing you get points and you get buy packs and all that.
we've already got
That's
a
right, Narc
handful of
Dalrymple. I am a roving agent of chaos versus technology.
we have quite a number of Magic the Gathering D&D crossovers, but friend of the channel and a friend on Facebook shared a picture of a Magic the Gathering card called the Porcuparrot,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and he was talking about it being the smaller cousin to the owl bear. uh, I want stats for that, so if there happens to be a Wizards of the Coast person out there, if you can get that into a book, not make me have to do it myself, I would much appreciate it.
I believe the illustrator is Chris Seaman, who is from the greater Northeast Ohio area, just like me. Uh, he does these cool things called cameo creeps that are like they look like
Okay.
Victorian portraits, but like with monsters. And he also did one of my favorite D&D illustrations, which is the Star Packed Warlock from the fourth edition. I think it was like in Dragon Magazine. It was an article about him, and it had that cool like he's standing on a boulder in space with like shooting an Eldritch
Push
Blast.
comes to shove. There's two Magic the Gathering cards that stand out to me: Solkanar the Swamp King and Jedit Ojanin. Those are the things that my brain remembers as absolutely loving those. Solkanar I think has been probably reprinted a couple of times. I think he might have even gotten some new art if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
But he was just really cool looking, and Jedediah Johnson was one of their like Pride Lion warriors, just a massive figure,
Oh,
and I always
you love like feline
how I do.
themes. Yeah, that's awesome. So we
I'm
actually are starting to accumulate questions and things. We already had one to
oh,
start.
I
So let's dive in. We had Zip Warlock, who's from Patreon, and he always, they always have cool questions for us. This one is a little tricky, so I will pose it to you. Say you were going to get your significant other a D&D themed anniversary present. What gift says "I love you" and "I respect your armor class"?
so not exactly sure, whether the I respect your armor class is just meant to put in there to be a nice little pun, or whether there was something that's a bit of a hidden message there. Um, I mean, there's nothing to me that says more anniversary and D&D than the silver anniversary dice. That recently came out. I don't know if they're sold out. Don't know if that price
I'm
tag is
sure those
outside.
exclusive ones. Yeah, I'm sure they do worldwide. I mean, there's a lot of nerds with disposable income.
So, but
They're like
that
real silver, right? With like an actual
no,
I
I
think it's
mean,
a synthetic sapphire, but it is a valuable gem in it.
yeah, it's it's got a small sapphire set
Mm-hmm.
into the 1d20.
Oh, is that what it is?
Um,
Okay, that's
it's
pretty
got
slick.
it's nice. I'm one of those nerds who couldn't resist. It's like, oh, limited edition dice. Ah, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I hemmed and I hauled and I hemmed and I hauled and I pushed the button.
I forget what year it is. It might be for the next like
45.
46 or 47. Oh no, I know that, but
Oh,
my birthstone is an emerald. That upcoming anniversary is an emerald, and my girlfriend's birthday is also an emerald. So that would be a sweet anniversary gift. But as it stands for, I don't know about the armor class part, but I would book a one of our what do you call it, cryptozoological vacations because we play like D&D seasonally, like when we go on trips and stuff, and we usually like theme it around where we go because we like to go on trips. We went and visited where the Mothman, myth is from, and so we had like an adventure sort of inspired by that. So I would do that.
good anniversary present would be to come join Nerdarchy at D&D in a castle. And you both
Oh
sit
my
in
gosh, yeah.
tables. I think that would be pretty fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, that's
Not
it. Oh, go ahead.
not meaning to just pimp out us. There's plenty of other
Mm-hmm.
spectacular GMs that are going to be there.
So many, so many, because it's like they got the whole castle, I think, this year, and
The
there's
whole
like
castle
20 or
full.
30 GMs. It's crazy. Speaking of D&D in a castle, our first question from live chat is from one of the players from my table last year, Nick, who says, "What is your favorite encounter from Out of the Box Encounters?" And Nick, we had been chatting on Discord because he got his PDF copy, which if you backed it, you can go get it. And he ran a bunch of them already with his group, and he was had some pretty valuable feedback there, so it's cool.
I honestly right now I've actually gone and flushed a handful of that as I'm moving on to the other things that I'm working on. I know there's a lot of fantastic encounters that are in there. So I'm actually gonna have to ask you to tell me what the name of this
Okay,
one.
sure.
But the one with I think it's the Oculighter in the shop.
Mm-hmm. That's Fibble's Fantastic Familiars.
So that to me, you've got a creepy little shop dude. You got some interesting creatures. There is a lot of possible fun things that you can do in that one. So that's where I'm gonna go for my vote. Now you ask me again next week after I have had a chance to reprocess and rethink it. It might change, but right now that's my vote.
So this is kind of funny because during the live chat today with James Intricasso and Nerdx Dave, we're talking about um, his work on a lot of products, and he was saying how they had a great editor, Hannah Rose, who like worked a lot on the Wild Mount book with them, and how like he said nobody knows the material as much as the writer except the editor, and I was like, yeah, I can totally relate because I have read and reread and fiddled and tweaked and everything that stuff so much. So like a lot of times when we would just solve a problem that we were coming across, like this doesn't make sense. Like that would be my favorite encounter because I was like, wow, I really like the way we, resolved that problem we had. So I can't really say, but a lot of them aren't really like combat encounters or anything. They're just stuff that happens. And as Nick learned, like we talked about, they didn't even have any combat for a whole one. And he said like one of the players was just like moved by the encounter, and like there was tons of great role playing. I was like, wow. And so a lot of the ones I like a lot are the ones that have an abundance of that kind of material with them. Just like ideas like maybe this will happen, maybe that'll happen, and directions you can go with it. So I can't really say. At the same time, I like coin flip because it's just like man, all those random tables, and I've run that one a couple of times. It is super fun. So I think right at the moment I'm going to say coin flip just because it's like it's just crazy.
Yeah, that one.
You don't like players just accept it because it's so bizarre. It's not like why this doesn't make sense. It's like well yeah of course it doesn't. The floor just drops out and turns into magic coins that like cause stuff to happen when you step on them. It's like yeah of course it's ridiculous. And all
Nice.
those tables you came up with are just incredible.
I mean, that's like I probably don't even remember half of the stuff that was on it.
Yeah.
It's the way it is kind of amusing the way, and we'll give you guys a little bit of insight here. The way Nerdarchy works on stuff now with out of the box. A lot of the stuff originated from the website, but there were definitely some changes, some major overhauls because of what's in the SRD and what's not. But I tended to work on a lot of stuff, and once I've done my part, I tend to just flush and move on to the next thing because there's always more things that I'm
Yeah.
working on. I mean, I've got my other machine on the other side of the room, and it's got four different tabs open right now for four different Google Docs that I'm working on. Um, you know, two related to my current game, one to the newsletter, and one for the next thing that I feel like putting some effort towards. It'll show up in a product at some point in time somewhere, or blog post or articles. It'll get parsed out and get to you guys in some way, shape, or form. But by the time that gets seen, I'll have forgotten all about
Yeah.
it. As I was working on it yesterday, I was talking to Doug, and he's like, "Don't forget about these things. You can go that way." And I'm like, "Crap! You just gave me more work."
So, here I'm gonna let you decide on this one because Tech and Motorcycles really wants to know about multi-classing and spell slots, and I mentioned in Discord that you just shot a video about it, and it should be coming out this week, I think.
That, that
Now,
is
part
that
of
is
me
true.
wants to just tease them and be like, "You just gotta wait for that video to drop." But if you want to give a quick
Uh,
rundown, that's up to you.
that is my new friend Aaron, who
Okay,
is a new a
he
new
really
patron.
wants to
Yeah,
know.
he actually got to chat with me for a little more than an hour last Friday. There is a section in the player's handbook for multi-classing and spell slots, and it does show you how everything works. But when you are going with Warlock and another class, you get it all. You don't look at the multi-classing section. It's crazy. That's the short answer. But you'll have to, if you want to watch the full video that's going to come out in the next couple of weeks, that'll explain all of that in greater detail and make it a lot easier for you.
There you go. Goblin Historian's got a question. Any advice for old timers coming back to the game from AD&D and 2E? I've been playing since that time, so I didn't really ever come back. But I would just say I I'm inclined to think like, oh, the game and the community and players have matured and changed, which they have, but I have too, and you have. So it's like your games are just going to be different. Like you're going to play with new people and just play different ways. And if you haven't played since back then, chances are you probably just played with like the same group of people all the time. So I would be open to just playing with all sorts of people because you'll see people everywhere just like, hey, anybody want to play D&D for like a half an hour right now, 2 hours? And just do
So
one shot. So try it out. Play with a bunch of different people.
if you're coming from second edition, the thing that you have to, you know, take into an account that um, second edition didn't care about is in current D&D lore, current D&D mechanics, I should say, higher is always better. Where in second edition that wasn't always
It
the
was
case.
golf.
Your armor classes went down, but you still had modifiers and what have you. The game has been simplified in a number of different situations. I think the easiest edition to convert uh, from one edition to fifth would probably be third, but fifth edition, and we've said this more times than I care to count, is that they have taken the best from every single edition and put it into fifth. Some things might be reworded, um, but it's still there. There are definitely some fourth edition things that they are like, oh, we're going to sneak this in.
Yeah.
Uh, we're gonna, we're not going to talk about fourth because so many people, really didn't particularly
Second best
care for
edition,
that.
baby. Fight
I'm
me.
gonna, I'm gonna
I'm just
agree to
kidding.
disagree
Hey,
there.
yeah, that's cool. I don't. Whatever, man. People like what they like.
I think fifth is the best.
Yeah.
There's people that are going to weigh in all
You know
over the
what the
place.
best edition of D&D is? The one you're
The
playing
one that
right
you want to
now.
play.
Yeah. uh, there's a. I mean, this question is crazy. What is your favorite monster in D&D? There's so many, but I'm gonna go with being a romantic at heart and say the hirsute horror from Beardomancy because my girlfriend just really loves that it's from a dark corner of the beard dimension where it's kill or be killed. She just thought that was so funny,
I am playing.
and I've sort of explored the lore of it with like terrible ideas and stuff. So I'm gonna go with
I
that.
am playing a Beardomancer for the first time on Friday.
It's
So
awesome.
super excited about that.
Yeah.
For those of you who do tune into this stuff regularly, where we get to share stuff, the players of the what I've always referred to as the kids game, the other adult in that game has decided to run a game. So for the very first time, I will actually be playing D&D as a fellow player with my children,
Oh, that's
and
awesome. That's the first time.
first time,
That's a new anniversary right there. First
yeah.
one.
Um, so my son and I, we built our characters together. He is going to play a dwarven fighter eldritch knight,
Ooh,
and
that's
I
cool.
I am playing an elven beardomancer.
Oh,
But there is a twist.
okay.
I was actually raised by his clan of dwarves.
Oh, that's cool.
He is I am his adopted brother. So therefore, my son is playing my older brother.
That's fun.
So we are gonna have so much fun. I've talked to the DM. My familiar is a squirrel that is like super extra furry who like lives in my beard.
Of course.
So therefore my beard is extra thick around the dwarves, so I feel a little bit better. It's going to be quite hysterical. I've actually switched out my elven weapon training for dwarven weapon training. DM
Oh,
allowed
that's
that.
cool. Yeah, that's a.
It is honestly just a flip.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, makes sense. So a lot of fun. Not that my 8 strength is really going to be all that super helpful, wielding a warhammer, but I can
Yeah.
do it.
Mm-hmm. In a pinch. I've really had so much fun with that beardomancy stuff. And there's so like if any of that sounds cool to people, there's a post on the website. I think it's called like "Entangle Yourself with Beardomantic Power for 5e D&D" or something. And there's 2 feats that any character can take that give you. It's kind of like Magic Initiate for Beardomancy, and I forget what the other one was. But yeah, and you can get all that. You can get Beardomancy basically for free right now because we still got that thing going on, so everybody can game while they're social distancing or physical distancing. I heard that term. I kind of like that.
You want to share that promo code?
Yeah, it is Stay Nerdy, all one word. When you're in checkout, you can get any three of the Adventures and Supplements stuff over on our website. There's like a 30 of them, and it'll just apply a 100% discount to the three most expensive ones over there. So if you're going to go poke around and just
So
get Beardomancy and two other ones or whatever you want.
a lot of really great things, and as
Mm-hmm.
Dave, as yeah, as Doug said, you can get them for free right now if you want to head over to nerdarchy.com. It's we love working on these things, and it's a way to share out the stuff that's there, so that you can get more gaming in, more fun things, and you can kind of see some of the awesome and sometimes ridiculous stuff that Nerdarchy creates.
Mm-hmm.
So I've missed most of the questions that have scrolled
Oh,
through the
I'm keeping
chat,
an eye on
but
them.
I do remember one of them, and I'll
Okay.
throw this out there. And I apologize that I'm not calling out your name, but one person asked, what are your thoughts about actual gemstone dice?
That actually is the next question.
Are you a click clack goblin, or do you not fall into that realm?
You mean like would I get them?
Yeah, well, like, are you a dice collector? Do you care
You
about
know,
buying new
no.
dice?
I'm just a color guy. I just like resin dice from like Easy Roller dice, uh, and I have a bunch of them. That's what I use. I mean, would I if I like if somebody was just like, hey, carte blanche, like pick a gemstone dice? Yeah, of course I take it. But yeah, generally I like wooden dice too. I think those are really neat. Like some of those like really well crafted like wooden dice. That's pretty cool. But like metal dice, they're too heavy and I'm just saying, I do want some of those Nerdarchy aluminum dice though, for sure.
I love dice.
Yes.
When I said click clack goblin, for those of you who follow all of the different gaming memes that are out there, that was one of those. Is like, oh, where do you fall on the dice spectrum of oh, I got one set, hey, I got a couple designed for these specific characters, or all the dice. That's me. I'm the click clack goblin. I I won't have enough, never have enough until I can totally do the Scrooge McDuck and swim through dice.
That would be pretty neat. Oh my
Uh,
gosh! Speaking of dice, now you probably really do have that nine-sided die, right?
I do.
Yeah, that was hilarious in that game last night. But if anybody wants to go check it out over on Esper the Bard's channel, he invited us to play D&D, and you can tell the story. I'm gonna check for questions here.
Sure. So basically, in the game, he was talking about doing something, and he made a thing about, oh, well, there's 9 alignments, so you could just roll a d10, and before he could even finish, I'm like, what is this nonsense? Rolling a d10? If there's 9 options, roll a d9. I know mine's right over there. Give me a second, and I can go get it. Everybody else is like, what? So I have actually got several different dice sets that have all of these weird selections. I've got D3s and D5s, D7s, nines, D11s, D13s. They're ridiculous. You can find them, but one of them was like, basically, it was like a 26-piece set that has most numbers between 1 and 30, or
So one, do you have a one-sided die?
no, I do not have a one-sided die. That's still
It's
called a
just
ball.
it's theoretical.
It's a sphere. It's just a sphere. It doesn't have a side. No matter what you do, it comes up
Yeah, it's
one.
just one side like perfectly rounded and
Uh,
sealed.
but it's ridiculous. So you show me something that's like, oh, this is fancy, this is different, and I decide, yeah, I want to get that. So like, there's large number of dice Kickstarters that I've backed. My son was looking at dice yesterday. Yesterday was Easter, right? Um, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Easter Bunny brought
What
a
day is it?
Easter Bunny brought a set of dice to both of my
Oh, that's
kids.
cool. Isn't it awesome when you can get other people involved in the hobby? Because then it's like, ooh, instant easy gift. It's like if you forget, I'll just get them dice.
They're we're all three of us are starting a new campaign on Friday, because it's not just a one shot that my Beardmancer in. This is a game. So super excited about that. But you
that
know, he was talking about rolling all the dice together, and I wound up like, I'm like, Teddy, you could total up all of your dice. If you rolled all of your dice and got the maximum number on all of them, and I rolled all of my dice, there is no way I would lose. Uh, I have, if your
If
standard,
I rolled ones on all of them, I would
if I
bury you.
if a dice set has a standard of 7 pieces, and I know many of my dice sets are much more than that.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah,
I
like
know
there's the like the one where it has like comes with like, oh, this is enough for like a fireball and a sneak attack and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So like I've got loads of sets that have extra d20s and d6s. Some that's got two of everything. But the last time
Those little potion things with like a bunch of D4s in them and stuff.
I counted my dice sets, I was in the triple digits. So like I know for a fact, that's well over 700 dice, and that's not counting, um, you know, that's not counting the bins
You're a
of
nerd's nerd.
miscellaneous dice. That is, I'm not kidding. Now I'm not, I'm nowhere near the people who
Oh
have
yeah, yeah, I
rooms dedicated to
know.
their dice
There's people
collection.
that like don't even play games; like they just collect dice. You know.
I'm part of the Dice Maniacs group on Facebook, and rightly so, with what I've just
You're a
shared.
total
Uh,
maniac, man.
but
100%.
there are people who have, like, their gaming room has like the wall, like the shelf that's right by the ceiling with hundreds of the little boxes
Hey,
from.
you ever see those people that make like houses out of like, you know, the cardboard milk things?
Oh
Like
yeah,
they make into bricks. Think anybody's ever made like a game room out of dice? Just like all
no,
meticulously resin coated. Like
I've made a handful of dice
no,
monsters.
no, I mean like a room to play in.
No, I
Like
haven't even gone that far. But the shelf
it's
is
never
covered
been
with
done.
all the Chessex dice.
Yeah.
And there comes a time where it's like, all right, you know, am I going to get to a point where I don't have room? Like, am I going to have to find somewhere for these things to go because they've grown too much? I don't know.
Mhm. So let's see. There's any questions per se, or they're not tagged. But I saw somebody asked about like Dwelf. Said something about Dwelf. It was Nick. You know, it's funny. Like we just make so much stuff. I've just been thinking since we started this, like the newsletter. We make up content in there, and like we post new content on the blog every day and videos. And it's like there's no way I could play all the things we create, but it's so much fun to have that outlet, isn't it? Where it's just like, I hope somebody has fun with this stuff. It's like, hey, spoilers, like we don't play test all the things that are in like, blog posts and stuff like that. But
So
isn't it? It's just fun to be able to share that stuff and then like,
yes,
know people are playing
and
these things.
if we don't get to play it, if we don't get to play test all of it, it's still something that at some point in time somebody's going to use, somebody's going to enjoy, and they're going to have a blast because of the ideas that we created.
Hey,
Yeah,
not to toot our own horn too, but it's like we put out a hell of a lot of free stuff too. I was just thinking that character I was playing in Asper's game, it was one of those CBGs or character build guides that are all pay what you want over at DM's Guild. And those are like we just kind of like fire and forget, and they're like silver bestsellers and stuff. It's
okay.
funny, but yeah, the Extreme Adventure is a lot of fun. And speaking of adventures, like it was way up there, but it's Goblin Historian. It mentioned something about like how Adventures League he's the person who was coming back from second edition, had been helpful. Total, 100% agree. That's how I got back into 5e when I lived in Austin by myself and didn't have anybody around. And then I started playing Adventures League. Awesome, made friends and just like got to play. I played like all of Princes of the Apocalypse and Curse of Strahd and Out of the Abyss. It was awesome. So yeah, that's a great thing.
So shout out to my Thursday GM, Jake is in the chat, and he totally called out the Fist of Emmer call behind me. That this was
Mm.
actually a gift from one of my in-person players. Not that we actually get to play in person currently, but somehow that became a topic of conversation once, and that die is incredibly valuable. And I said something to him. I'm like, you can't really get them online. If that's something you ever want to part with, let me know. And when the campaign wrapped up, he's like, you know what, Ted, you will appreciate this far more than I ever will. And he just handed across the table, and my jaw hit the floor. And I'm like, wow, thank you, man.
Yeah, that is
uh,
cool.
that is Dr. Kurt. He's an
Oh, okay.
amazing
I'm glad I
person.
got to game with that guy one time in the like ultimate session of your 1 to 20 epic campaign. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that was quite the game.
Uh huh. Yeah, I played an Ultra Loth, which was fun. They didn't really have a whole lot of it was like it was a little underwhelming as a player,
Mm.
but it was still pretty fun.
So a
The
lot
role
of
playing was great.
fun things that can happen.
Hmm.
But if you guys don't watch Mini Terrain Domain, you absolutely should. Jake is awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's fun. I like catching your Dawn Bringers game and or just whatever it was called something different the other day. It was a different party on
mm,
was it Thursdays at 7, 8, 7?
Thursdays at 8:30
Is it 8:30?
Eastern Standard Time. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, Eastern time. Yeah, but those are fun. It's cool players and good role playing and stuff. I like listening to your games.
we're starting season 4. Night Fang Spy or something along those lines. Jake's gonna probably yell at me. Maybe you can give me the proper name in the chat. Um, but we're gonna, supposedly gonna go hunt down the Golthias vampire.
Oh
Lot of
wow,
fun.
okay.
We've just made level 10, so that's exciting.
And you're sort of playing that Justicar with a little few changes here and
It's
there.
definitely
Yeah.
modified.
Well, that's what's
Five
cool about those, man. It's just like, hey, you want to just switch out something because we make them AL legal, so it's like.
5 levels barbarian, 1 level of forge cleric, and I just hit 4th level paladin. So definitely.
Here's a question for you now. Now we got to get Dave to play one of those character build guides too. So as a fellow CBG player now, how do you think it plays compared to like the original? I say you often like forget, and I do too. I mean, we make so many videos and stuff, but like, does it give you that same feeling that we were going for when we kind of come up? Because we usually start
Yeah.
with the actual like character. It's not like, oh, this mechanic and this thing work well. It's usually like, what kind of person would this be? So
So the core behind it, initially, what was like, hey, rage and smite are absolutely fun to use together.
is that what
And
it was?
yeah, I
Oh,
mean
okay.
that to me was, where that Justicar was going. It's like, look, I can get angry, and I can put some womp down. When we made that CBG, the Unearthed Arcana for Oath of the Hero wasn't out.
Oh, that's
Uh,
right.
so like, I deviated in that direction. I deviated because I added a level of cleric because of the backstory and the way the role playing kind of unfolded, and because basically I don't really need magic armor, because every day a forge cleric can just turn my armor magical.
Hmm.
So that gives me a boost to my AC every day, which is super awesome.
Yeah.
And it boosted my spell power, or my spell slots, because a level of cleric is just right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that first level was definitely a fun thing of, okay, well, now I can heal outside of combat when I'm not raging. Um, but once I actually got to really get into the rage smiting, and I'm going crazy because I'm a barbarian that wields 2 weapons. I have a lot of fun, but it also gives me more opportunities to just really lay into the smites right off the bat.
What weapons do you use? Scimitar?
No, I've got the feat, so I can use 2 big
Oh,
weapons.
oh, okay.
So
So I
right
say you
now,
got to use your strength because you can get the rage
yeah,
bonus.
right
Yeah.
now I'm using 2 warhammers. Uh,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
I played a barbarian. I haven't played too many barbarians, but the one time I played, I was like, I wonder what it's like doing like two-handed. Seemed pretty cool, like compared to like having the one big two-handed weapon.
you get the extra attack, in,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you some different style. And I'm kind of over the idea of oh, I'm a barbarian wielding a great axe, or I'm a paladin wielding a great sword.
Mm.
It's the standard, and I don't like to play the
So
standard.
you guys got two hammers?
So I have two warhammers.
That's pretty dope.
My,
Yeah, yeah, I can see
my
that.
preferred fighting style is a warhammer and a warpick.
Oh,
Um,
in third edition, that was deadly, man. Because I think the Warpick had like a times 4 like crit multiplier. Yeah, those were like badass.
Um, but it was an idea of, okay, well, I'm just going to
I can't reach
go
you.
down this road. My because I started the game second season, the characters were already level 5, so I had a +1 weapon, and it went to my warhammer, as would
Hmm.
be the most befitting. And let's face it, there's not probably a whole lot of magical war picks that are out there. So I haven't found one of them.
Yeah. It's pretty specific.
Uh, and then, I'm sorry for those who haven't gotten into it, but there's going to be a quick spoiler here. But we encountered a being of significant power who decides to become our patron and gave
BSP, huh?
major magic items. So I've got a basically a dwarven thrower that has the ability to either shrink down into a smithing hammer or grow into an anvil.
Oh,
Uh,
that's cool.
it is an
Oh, is that
item.
why Erasmus made that thing for you?
Yeah. So that's actually
Look at all this stuff Nerd Architect's
uh,
got.
I'm a stuffed
I gotta
peanut.
update my spoilers. I'm not sitting in the same space as Ted.
So this
Hey,
was
that
made.
thing's huge.
So this is made of foam. I can't really toss a natural
Look at how
anvil.
strong Ted. He's got that vampire strength.
But this is an anvil made by Erasmus Expedition. It's 3D printed to have the Dawnbringers piece set inside it. But he actually did a video, so if you want to go check out Jeremy's channel, Erasmus Expedition, he actually has a video for how he did all of this stuff, how he shaped it. He's actually got the markings on the anvil that makes it look
Yeah,
hammer beaten.
yeah, that's cool.
It's really well put together, and it's absolutely a prize. And because of what Jeremy did, I'm not going to say what it says in the dwarven runes around the base of it, but it was actually a special message from Jeremy to me.
Did you have to
Uh,
decode the runes?
no, he actually
Oh, sent
it came with a secret letter that
uh,
has what it all means.
you have to read it by with ultraviolet light.
It's dwarven. Yeah, you have to read it underground by candlelight.
Yeah, I was just didn't they wasn't it called ultravision or something like back in the day that they had,
Yes.
and there was like infravision and
Yeah, ultravision, infravision, dark vision. No, I think dwarves had infravision, and certain underdark things had ultravision that
yeah.
was even better.
What was
But
that,
yeah,
like a black light? Like they saw everything? Oh, geez, that wouldn't be a good power. Don't go to the tavern motel with that guy. Oh my god! Why did
uh,
I have to have ultravision?
I don't know if think we've actually really gotten into D&D ideas applications of
Yeah,
anniversary,
no, we haven't.
and we are like 40 minutes in at this point in time.
Hey,
So
well, it was a kind of a tricky topic. Do you have any ideas you want to get the ball rolling? I had a
I
couple.
always come to these things with a couple different
Sure,
ideas. So even
hit
if you
me,
don't, I
hit
will
me.
share these things out. Um, whether you want to treat it as an anniversary or a holiday, anniversaries are a time of celebration. So whether you're having your kingdom, your adventuring party being together for so long, or any number of topics for a celebration, it is a time to be able to sit back and say, look, for part of a session or whatnot, let's have do you guys want to do a gift exchange, like whether you're talking about solely in game or in game and out of game, whether you want to have a party and have some fun role playing, invite some nobles and take a break from the ye old combat every session and get into the real hearts of what your characters want and desire. This is a great time that you can be able to just talk, and the DM can kind of sit back and listen. And for those DMs, here's where you want to take notes when characters begin sharing those goals and those ideas. And let's remember that sometimes player and character goals needn't coincide. So pay attention to those things as well. Um, but that is one of those very cool things that you can do, and it can get stretched out into any number of reasons to celebrate. Perhaps it's an adventure that the party has no idea why. Maybe they've established some fame and they are invited to this party. Is it a ruse? Are they being set there to set up an ambush? Or is it something where it's actually someone who's looking to become their benefactor because they've done so much and someone wishes to give back? Here is a great way, as kind of Jake did in our game, where a powerful NPC sets himself up, presents them with gifts, and say, all right, now we feel you are more ready to handle the things that are in front of you, and by the way, things are going to get bad from
Wait,
here.
wait, they told you that after they gave you the stuff?
No,
Oh,
no,
I was like, geez, that's like a yeah.
well,
Like, oh, thank you. Here's all this treasure. Well, hey, now that you got all this awesome gear, we got this dangerous thing that we got you
I mean,
entangled with. Okay, take it back. I don't want
I I
it.
could try to get into it, but
No, I'm
we
just
don't have an
teasing.
hour to
I
sit
know,
here
I'm
and
just teasing.
let me sum up,
Yeah.
a
As you were
year's worth.
talking, I was thinking, what a like as far as like exchanging things with the players, initiating role playing. What a fun way to do that would be to contact the players out of game and tell them like, oh, for our next session, like this holiday is coming up in the game. Where it's like customary to like get a gift, and maybe you could have like give people different sort of like unusual parameters like, oh yeah, on this day you always make sure you like have to like it's custom to trip your friend when they're getting up from the tavern stool or something like that, just whatever, just to have them do something and just see, so the next time you play, like they wouldn't know that everybody knew. They just knew like, oh, like I have to give them a gift and like trip that guy at some point or something. That'd be fun.
And that's even like that gets into the realms of like superstitions and holidays. You can
Yeah.
have a lot of fun with those kind of things as well.
Yeah,
And I
tying
really think
adventure
that
into it. Like if they don't do that or something like a monster
I
emerges.
really feel those are topics that really, if you were to do them, they really enrich your world, because the things that are in it become more real, because oh well, I'm supposed to do these things every time this happens,
Hmm.
or the first of this particular moon or month, what have you. You get into it, so there's definitely a lot of things to really build upon. And I know it's
Oh, I just thought, yeah, like, yeah, something you said about like the superstitions. Yeah, like tell people like, oh, if a black cat crosses like your friend's path that day, like they're doomed or something, and but the other person wouldn't know that. So you're just like, when they're walking down the street, you're like, yeah, there's just some stray cats cross your path, and they'd be like, what color are they? Like players might be like, who cares? Like, well, one of them's black. They get all crazy, like, oh my god, we're doomed. Yeah, that'd be funny. Fun thing to have happen. I saw somebody asking a couple times. I guess I didn't catch the first time. Where is it? I've played Swedish tabletop role playing games for more than 25 years. How do I convince my players at different locations in the country to play? My players are very reluctant because I am remote. Let's see, where internet is not an option. Well, then, I mean, at the most basic thing, if you have a phone, then just put the receiver on and go theater of the mind and trust that dice rolls. People are honest with their dice rolls. I mean, that's
I mean,
great.
that's one of those things. Like it's like these days, like I whenever I game online, we're not using virtual tabletop. It's always theater of the mind. Esper's game was was the difference there. We
Mm-hmm.
actually did use his own setup, but I don't use dice rolling programs. I prefer to roll the dice. As I said, I actually like the metal dice. So this is my typical gaming set that's here. This thing is
Oh, is that
seven.
like your go-to set?
That's my go-to set. It's all my favorite metal dice. My to this day, my favorite my favorite set of metal dice is the copper and blue easy roller dice
Yeah,
set.
you've liked those for a long time.
Yeah, this is my go-to, and I like the feel of this die, or the the metal dice in my hands. It's just it's
Hmm.
there. But so I keep them on hand to go.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of got us off track, but I'm also reminded one of our writers from years ago, I think had written something that's similar to like anniversaries, and it's another case where you kind of touched on it too, where it's like, well, just think about like those things in the real world and how they affect people. Like there's anniversaries of like the founding of a country, huge milestone events and stuff. So, like you said, it's like those are great ways to introduce, just flavor in your campaign. And because it's a fantasy setting and it's D&D or whatever game you're playing, you know,
Well,
whether it's a sci-fi thing, it's like, well, then you can add those kind of, supernatural, for lack of a better term, elements to anything. It's just like, oh, and if this doesn't happen, like a monster attacks or like this curse happens or whatever, and it can, have
those
consequence.
anniversaries, those parties, those are the perfect times, for people's guard to be let down,
Yeah.
and enemies of the state, sneak in, and
Mm-hmm.
it begins to unfold the next section of your game, or the villain manages to get away because whatever have you. There's so many different ways.
I think that's what happened in Critical Role, right? In the first campaign with the Chroma Conclave. I don't want to give spoilers away, but like that wasn't that like some kind of holiday, right? Like they were all in. Yeah,
It's been a while since I watched
yeah,
Camp One, but there's a lot, lot
yeah,
built into that.
yeah.
But they're good transition times. When you want to get a certain thing to happen, here's where you can build from point A to point B using this. Hey, everybody is happy and celebrating, and this person gets drunk and then murdered or poisoned or whatever have you. Um,
Uh, let's see. Oh, there's two questions. One really easy one. What am I drinking? Pineapple peach kombucha. I'm not gonna say the brand because they didn't pay me, so sorry. The other one's from Hale Deacon. Question that is a bit off topic. That's cool. Like we were on, we were off topic for like 75%. Do you allow creatures with a flight speed to hover in midair, i.e., an Aarakocra? Yeah, I'm a pretty easygoing DM, and that just seems silly that they wouldn't be able to do that. So I don't really
I've
think I ever came up where I thought it was a question
I
before.
think in third edition, certain things specifically said that they couldn't hover, or they specifically said that these could, and if it didn't. But in fifth edition, I don't think there's hover is something that's there.
It
So
actually it is on like beholders and stuff. So I suppose without that qualifier, by the
uh,
rules as written, they couldn't. But the question is like, would I allow Christian? Yeah, because it's like I don't. I mean, if you've played with me, Nick, and a few other people in Patreon and stuff. Like, the games aren't like crunchy. If that's like the experience that you're hoping to get, then I probably would disappoint you as a DM.
the ridiculousness of um, the way and this might come across wrong, so I hope none of you D&D enthusiasts are gonna try to burn me with torches. But D&D's battle grid, it looks very static, and real combat doesn't do that. If Doug and I were to pull out swords and we were to fight, we're not going to stay in a little 5 foot box. We are going to move left and right and backwards and forwards. That is the natural flow. Anyone who's actually taken martial training, anyone who watches boxers or other martial combatants, you can't just plant your feet and fight. It doesn't work. Staying still is a disadvantage. You are presenting a target because your feet become that target if they are stuck in place. I did longsword fighting for about 8 years. We dabbled in small sword and
So,
shield, dagger, axe, and pole arm. My preferred style was, a small blade and a shield. It's a little bit easier to defend. Sword and buckler, even easier. Um, so like you have to move. You have to be willing to, trade positions with your ally. Sorry, with your allies, with your enemies. It's going to happen unless you're
Yeah,
fighting.
stick and move, stick and move.
Unless
It's
you're
the sweet
playing.
science.
Unless you're fighting in a war and it's a line battle, where everyone's got a shield and a weapon that's going over top. That's just, ugh. And so
That's what
yeah.
commoners are for. Just give them
So
a pike and come
so
on.
to say, oh well, my Aarakocra can't stop, and stay in a place, like no one stops really. It's like don't bother me with these small little things. All right, the dude's got a flying speed. You know what happens if you take him out in the air? He's hitting the ground and taking his first death save. So that's the decision he's chosen to make. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I never thought. I guess to be honest, I literally never thought about. I mean, I have considered I've seen people that are like concerned
well,
about
we
flight
we
speed, but like yeah, in our games, it's like well, we just kind of play it like what seems realistic, and I've never run into a problem playing with you guys. I think we have a similar perspective, and that's a perfect example. It's just like I'm not, I'm not like that's not a homebrew rule where it's just like, well, I let you fly, but if you get hit, you fall prone. It's like, well, that just seems like what would happen. Right, and I
well
think you
we
do fall prone if a flying creature gets hit
yeah.
or
I
something
mean,
or drop.
if you get
Yeah,
knocked to
yeah,
zero in the air,
yeah. You
you hit the ground, take damage, and therefore you take your first,
oh, I'm
fatal.
sorry. That was one of the things James was saying. Uh, he.
Oh,
Oh, hey, look at Michael Bill with the
hey,
GM
hey,
911.
Michael.
Well, that's an emergency. Michael
So,
Beale's fiance runs a character that's been reincarnated multiple times over the eons. I want to run flashbacks without railroading, but still get the desired results. Well, that
so
sounds like a awesome way to have like one shot side quests and stuff, especially if like a player doesn't show up or whatever. And it would give those players a chance to like play a different character because it's like an eon ago. So
so
that's my first
either,
thought.
you absolutely could run it as a whole second, game as one shots, or like it could be for when a person doesn't show up, you could have a not a one shot side quest, but just a side quest, and those people who are here, it's like, look, I'm overtaken by, this memory, and I left something undone, and I need to make sure that this flower is planted on a grave on the other side of the world, or like, this ritual has to be done, to preserve a family line, like these things that become, you know important to those who are there, um but meaningless to the actual characters. But I would talk with your fiance and get ideas of who they were in a past life, and jot down some ideas, but then throw in some things that are going to be surprises that they don't know about. This is the perfect time to be able to say, okay, well, at times when they go to make a check, and they don't really know why they know this answer, you can be like, okay, well, you don't remember this, but and then let them explain what character from their past recalls this. Why does this character have a connection with
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
their reincarnated ancestors, essentially. Um you could go through all of these things, and this sounds like a fabulous character to have
Mm-hmm.
fun with, both as the player and as the DM. I've run games that have kind of this, um, you
Technique.
mental difference,
Mm.
that uses these memories and this and that. Um,
Yeah,
you
I've
know, you
dabbled in it. It's fun,
oh, absolutely.
especially if you can like just it's tricky because it's like it's hard to plan for and plot for. But like if you can find that moment where like, ooh, something happens like in one of these things like an eon ago that like will inform or like is informed by the player's like previous role playing where you'd be like, maybe it's something like, oh, like eons ago, like one of their ancestors did this thing, and like, and that's why today they're, greedy or whatever it is.
Hmm.
There was a really important question I wanted to answer because we're running short on time. Tech and Motorcycles. Any chance if D&D in a castle gets pushed due to virus might happen before next September, like pushing it in a few months? First of all, you'd have to go to their website and follow them. We can't speak for them or anything. I will say, whatever happens, they are just like incredible about adapting on the fly because somebody else said something about scheduling is hard. And obviously, these are really challenging times. But I mean, after what they were able to pull off last year, it's like I'm sure they would do everything they can to make the experience incredible. So I don't know, um, what if it'll be delayed or till when. So you'd have to go check the
They
other
will
website
they
and
will
see.
absolutely announce it. They're great at staying in contact, especially on their Discord channel. I can tell you that as of now, their public statement and what they've told us is that everything is currently a go for September. Um, so it's just a matter of waiting it out and seeing if there's going to be a change, or if everything is going to go through as planned.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, those people are really just on the ball with like all their logistical stuff. So,
On the ball and great people
mm-hmm.
besides.
Yeah, that really was fun. Um, sorry. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I guess we get more time to plan and delay that DM anxiety, where you're just like, okay, hey, I'm gonna push it back if they do. But it's super exciting. Yeah, I don't know. People in the chat, you might have seen Nick's comments. He was a player with me last year. That was tons of fun.
I've actually I think I've got um if I'm correct, I think I actually have one of your players from last year
Okay.
in my game, and I've got two of my players returning.
I guess he
Um,
didn't like playing.
I know it was, the guy who I think came with his mother.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Is that Mason?
Yeah, and Sue.
I think I have Mason in my table. I think he
Oh,
said he
okay.
wanted to
Yeah, should be.
all
Yeah,
of
no,
us
I didn't.
know.
Yeah, of course, I
Um,
didn't take it personally. Yeah.
and then I've got Jeremy and Chris
Hmm.
returning.
So,
Jeremy,
boy, I wonder if anybody will play a barbarian or something in your table. You had a
don't
beardomancer.
think so. I think he's already got his character figured out. But
Those are some pretty fun abilities that we came up with for that one. And the upcoming rewards are pretty cool too. I don't know. In these last few minutes, yeah, I mean, those are, we've still got a few weeks for those, but it's got like a beachy theme, and there's like these aquatic reptilians that have like different sorts of coral like growing on their skin.
it's basically your island game.
Yeah.
Is how Megan and I were approaching that
Okay.
one.
Yeah, that looks fun. The art for the cover looks amazing. I love the artist Ashkan Goodbari that we've been working with.
And I'm just happy to have been able to come up with the pun for the barbarian.
Yeah. Oh my god, I had so much fun researching that. I was like looking up, hair tech coloring techniques and things. To
So
make.
do we have to come up for our hair line? Do we need a groomer's kit? Is that
Oh yeah. Well, there's a barber's kit in people in the store more mildly known as taking chances because it was two things mashed together. It has four new toolkits. One of them was a barber's kit, and you can use it with the barber feet in Beardomancy. Look at how we tie these things together so intricately with all our tendrils of nerdarchiness, just entangling you in game goodness and fun. Oh,
all
much
right?
of it for free.
All right, so I'll have to add barber's kit to the list.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're working on some fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, man, we just create so much stuff. Speaking of the newsletter anniversary, we'll be sending out the one this week is about chaos. I think I still haven't. We have so many. It's like, well, we chat about it here, and then we plan it here and send it here. I think it's
I just
chaos.
I just wrote my chaos article. Got a two magic items from my game
Oh,
that
okay.
both have the capacity to possibly become more depending upon how things evolve. Um,
Oh, I
so
like that kind of stuff.
yeah, well,
What is the? I just totally forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind.
Okay. So if you if you want some you know cool stuff to
Oh,
use in your game, the newsletter occasionally does have straight up magic items, subclasses,
had a whole
monsters.
yeah whole creature last week. Doesn't people in the newsletter? That's where you get part of the people for the monthly game. That's what I was going to ask, right?
Yes, there is a like a double follow that you need to do to be able to get on the list to game with us. We do game with the fans once a month with our Company of the Mag game. We use the people who sign up for that list as well as those who are in Patreon. If you happen to be in both, that's double your chances. On the 26th, Doug is actually going to be running his game. I too will be playing that day, but I will be running a birthday slash Easter game for my kids and companions. So it'll still be April, so therefore I feel running an Easter holiday style game.
Same here. I was like, ooh, it's in a holiday month. All right, holiday themed adventure. So yeah, and once again too, just there's that code for all the stuff that I mean. There's a lot of people watching. So go over to Nerdarchy the store under the adventures and supplements. There's like 35 things in there. You pick any three. I mean, certainly you can get more if you like. Please get them all. But if you put the promo code "Stay Nerdy" in when you're in checkout, it'll just knock 100% off the top three ones in there. So go check out. I mean, there's just tons of stuff over there. And I guess we're right up to 9 o'clock. So unless you have anything else to say, until next time,
Just stay
stay
nerdy.
nerdy.